Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 52 of the Billy Rickman Show podcast. I'm so super excited today to introduce you to one of my Inner Circle members. I'm going to introduce you in a second, but it's Friday today. In case I don't know when you're listening to this or watching on YouTube, it is Friday today. It's been an awesome week, and I've been meaning to do this podcast for a little while now with this person. And we've been putting it off. But then this morning I got the most awesome message. Well, it wasn't a message to me. It was I read one of her comments on an Instagram post that she put up. And it was just like, yes, today is the day we need to do this. So without a further ado, I would like to introduce all of the Billy Rickman podcast followers to the lovely Christine Alger, who was clearly just telling off one of the staff members for walking in.
Hey, everybody.
It's like that BBC guy, the BBC journalist, when he's, do you remember that one? And the mum scrambling in to grab the kids. Get out. So welcome to the podcast, Christine. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I am really pumped to be here, actually.
Awesome. Also, so just so everybody is aware of who you are. So you are the director of Infinity Wellness Centre in Sunbury in Victoria, Australia.
That is correct.
Cool. We've known each other for 4 months.
Yeah, about that. It seems so much longer, Billy.
I feel like you've been in my life the whole time. I don't know if that's a positive thing or a negative thing. So, I want to give people a little bit of background about you. So you came to me, I don't even know how we ended up connecting. I think you just booked in a consultation with me one day and we spoke, and you had you had some business coaching and whatnot, and it wasn't particularly working at that time for you. And sort of you came to me and said, I'm a little bit underwhelmed with business at the moment. And so we spoke, and then you joined, and then your business model is you have 3 different arms to your business, yes?
Yes, yep.
Okay, so you have, go.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to, so Infinity Wellness, came about. I've been a psychologist for the last 10 years, and basically I was practicing in medical centres and places like that were really not sort of conducive to holistic health. And I decided that I wanted to create a space where I could not only provide, psychological services, but I could actually build a hub where people could come along and address their psychological well-being in lots of different ways. So when I created Infinity Wellness, I thought about all the different things that I love in life. One of them being day spa, relaxation services, skin, the other being yoga and mindfulness, and then of course myself and other allied health practitioners banding together to provide services. So that's basically how Infinity Wellness Centre was born.
I love it. It's so different, and I love the fact you're a psychologist, because not only are you in the inner circle, but I often pick your brain on certain things and respect your decision from a psychology point of view. I remember the conversation we had last week when I was umming and ahhing whether or not to do the inner circle for life, right? And say that that people have, if they're in the inner circle, they're in it for life, and if they leave, they can't come back. So I was like, this is a pretty big decision. I don't know how it's going to be well received, if it's going to be well received. So I got on to Vox and ask for your opinion. So I love having you part of the group. You are you're the most insane psychologist I've met.
That is true, Billy. That is true.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is give you a plug right now, because anybody who so obviously people who listen to this are business owners, right? They're entrepreneurs, and that's who most of my audience are. And for the past 6 to 12 months, more and more people are starting to get on the bandwagon of Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives and stories and blogging and things like this, right? And some people are still a little bit like, how do I do it? What should I talk about? How do I engage with my audience? And no joke, when people ask me that, I often point them in your direction, and I'm like, just watch Christine. Like, she does it so well. Go into her groups, and if you jump on the Infinity Wellness page, and also you have Psych Chrissy, which we'll get to in a second, which is your alter ego. And so I always say, go and watch Christine. So if you are listening to this podcast now on your headset on either iTunes or Google, have a look on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, go on Facebook and search for Infinity Wellness. And you'll know you're on the right one because you'll see this face that you can see right now on YouTube. And Christine does seriously some of the best Facebook lives and engagement I have seen in business. And if you want to look at someone to model and say, how do I do it? What's the best way to do it? Then like jump on her page. That's how you do it. So,
thank you very much, Billy. I don't know what. Sorry, I was just going to say I don't know what people will think when they see Psych Chrissy's head bobbing around on there. Stepping in dog shit in the morning. That was basically my video yesterday.
That is so funny. But it's so true. Like so many people, they go, oh, what if people won't follow me? What if people don't like my content on my Facebook? And they sit there for ages stewing on it and they never get anything done. And then like if they do get it done, they want a perfect backdrop and they want like all their hair and makeup done. And no disrespect to you, Christine. I'm sure you'll take this the right way because we joke about it all the time. But like you literally do your Facebook lives when you're walking in the morning and you just come back from the gym, right? And you're not there to impress anyone from the outside. It's the content that's engaging. And I think the fact that you are so real and genuine is what people actually love and follow you for, right?
Absolutely. It's, someone actually, I was talking to all the yoga participants last night, and that was the comment that somebody made. They said, I'm sitting there drinking my coffee and I open my Facebook and I'm not a morning person, but your face just beams straight into my phone. She goes, your hair's bloody everywhere and you just don't care.
You don't care, but that's what makes it so awesome. I mean, like I could flip through my Instagram, and I will in a second, because I actually want to read out your post from this morning. So like, if I flip through Instagram, right? I won't do it. But if I did flip through Instagram, it's just like every photo almost of females and entrepreneurs on business, especially I talk about females because I find it is more so in females, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see. That everyone just wants their stuff to be perfect.
Yeah.
And so they don't produce a lot of content because they're just waiting for it to be perfect all the time. It's like you have built this audience in the past 3-4 months. I know you've been doing it a lot longer, but your audience is like blown up in the last 3 or 4 months. And it's just because of you're so genuine, you're so real, and you're so easy to listen to, and you got such a good message. So tell me about like a little bit about that. What have you found from your audience? What do they love about your message, and what sort of advice would you give to people who are thinking about going into the scary Facebook Live space and building an audience online?
Yeah, look, I think, and I've said this a few times to people that were anticipating making videos and putting themselves out in social media, but basically audiences love imperfection. They're the average Joes. They want to know that there's people out there that are just going about their daily business and just doing life like the average person. So, when I speak to my staff, my staff have had a whole range. They know that part of being a member of Infinity Wellness is about, talking to the people and reaching out in all your glory. And some of the feedback that I've given them is around, nobody's looking for a polished, manicured version of something online. People are sick of it. It creates a really unhealthy culture around, I suppose, what is success or what is achievement, and for me, the Psych Chrissy brand is really about going, hey, when I set out doing this, I really wanted to destigmatize psychology because, I think there's a lot of pompous profile around psychologists, but then also that psychology, when I started Infinity Wellness, I really had to learn how to sell it in a way that was not, unfortunately, I think people are quite scared of mental health. They don't want to talk about it. There is a stigma attached to it. Even though we feel like it's improving, it's still a pretty tough sell. So, the Psych Chrissy brand was about destigmatizing psychology, getting the real people out there, connecting with the people and encouraging the audience not to be afraid to engage or present themselves just as they are.
Yeah. And it's so cool. And you do such a wonderful job at it. So let's talk a little bit about Psych Chrissy then, because like I said at the start, this is your alter ego. This is how you sign off on a lot of your stuff online. I know you as Christine Alger, but the world knows you as Psych Chrissy. So talk to me a little bit about the Psych Chrissy brand. How did that start, and is that kind of part of the destigmatization? And how is that how has having that brand impacted your business?
Yeah, look, it definitely was part of the destigmatization, but also when I was creating Infinity Wellness, one of the things that I said, when we were struggling along, I kind of had this epiphany. I was trying all different models, and I wasn't necessarily putting myself on camera, but I kind of had this moment where I thought, you know what, the only person that's going to bring business into my business is me.
I love that.
And the best way I know how to do that is by connecting with the people.
Yeah.
It's always been a strength of mine. I've also worked the last 10 years in prisons, and out in the community service. And, one of the things that I'm best...
Been in prison for 10 years.
No, I haven't. They do let me out occasionally, Billy. God love them. But yeah, I get in there and obviously work with offenders. But one of the things that I know that I'm best at is developing relationships. It's one of the reasons why, I've had clients long term for a number of years. It's one of the reasons why, people can remember that they've done group sessions with me in prisons, years later, because I developed the relationships. And I thought, I've got to do that via camera, and it's absolutely, it's changed everything about my business 100%.
Okay. So from a psychology point of view, then what would you do to listeners who are listening to this right now? Go, I just can't do it. I just cannot get online and do, I just freeze. I just can't do it. And so I want to ask your opinion from a psychology point of view. Like, is there something they can do to overcome that? And the reason why I want them to overcome that and not just kind of go, well, I'm just not that type of person, is because it is the way business is heading. People, I say this all the time in my message, that people don't want to do business with business. People want to do business with people. And if you can be the face of your business somehow, like, you don't want to make it the point of difference, because then if you go, then everything falls apart. Like, it's not your point of difference, but they want to know they're doing business with someone who is real, they're not just doing it with a corporation with numbers and products and things like that. And so often I hear people just trying to sell product, and like, when I talk about product, I mean your product as in the services and the overall sort of
sales. Yeah.
And so they're trying to sell their product and services, and they're wondering why people are not buying into it. Well, then all of a sudden you put a face to it, and you have a brand that's a person, and all of a sudden you start to get into an audience. I know that worked for me when I started my coaching a couple of months ago, and it's clearly working for you. So that's why I really want to push to not just sit back and go, well, it's just not me. And obviously you've done a great job of it and learning that lesson yourself. And so what advice would you give to people? How do they overcome it? How do they put themselves out there to set themselves up for maybe some critique and maybe some, criticism, but then there's all the positives that go with it as well?
Yeah, look, there was a phrase that really stuck with me when I first started out doing this, but also when I tried to start motivating my staff to get themselves on camera. And it was something that Kerwin Ray said. He said that the only reason why people are bad at making videos is because they don't do it enough. Yeah. So basically, it just doesn't matter. The more and more you do it, and it does sit with psychological principles as well. Anxiety goes away with approach-driven direction. You've just got to keep doing it. You've got to keep facing it. You've got to do it on repeat over and over again, and then eventually it's like nothing. Now, I used to do videos because I, pre-recorded videos, and all of my stuff going on to Infinity Wellness was pre-recorded. Now it is all live. Every single one of my posts are live. I don't even bother with videos anymore. And that's pretty much how I started. And if you want to record a video, because you can do it 50 times and then put up whatever your version you like, once you've done that, 10, 20, 30 times, you won't need it anymore. You'll go straight to live. So it's just about repetition.
Totally agree. And it's so funny you say that, because if you look on my Billy Rickman Facebook page, when I first started, the first like 10, 15 videos was with like a green screen behind me, lighting, using my camera, and I was like, that, and it's all like, and I,
you had your makeup on.
I didn't have
you had your hair permed.
Yeah. And so, and I remember like just doing all these different takes of it and things like that. And it was all, and I still recommend people do have some element of professionally produced videos. I think they are important,
sure.
A different side of your business, and it can show that you are still professional and whatnot. But at the same time now, like, you know, you said to me before, literally, what was it, like half an hour ago? I said, okay, so we're going to do this podcast today. And you said, yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah, what are we going to talk about? And I said, I don't know. We'll just talk and see what it is. And that's how I feel about Facebook Lives now. And you're so right. The more you do them, you just talk. And if you're okay talking, if you have the function to be able to talk, the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it, right?
100%.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your post, if you don't mind. Because I think
baked bean and sausages.
Baked beans and sausages, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't want to say anything that maybe that you don't want to share. Why don't you? I want to read your post out, if that's okay. But I want you to give a tiny backstory so that people listening can understand what the post is about, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know, one of the approaches that I really do sort of take in life is just all in. Like, I never do things in halves. And in putting together Infinity Wellness, basically, you know, and I've earned reasonably good income, you know, over my years, and I've been very, very used to a decent sort of financial buffer. But when I created Infinity Wellness, basically every single dollar that I had to my name went into that, which is a pretty scary sort of predicament. But yeah, every single dollar that I had went into it. And pretty much for the first 12 months, I wondered whether that was a good idea. Like, I'd never had so little money in my life. I'd never worried about paying bills. I'd never not had holidays. I'd never counted pennies, you know, in any sense of the word. So the Infinity Wellness business really challenged me in that way. So it's only been the last sort of 3 months that, you know, I'd started to generate an income that could actually pay some bills, you know, that I wasn't getting to every single sort of fortnight going, oh my God, so who's missing out this week? Who am I going to get on the phone to and talk around, you know, extending that payment, or, you know, so yeah, pretty much baked beans and sausages was my blog entry around the fact that I mean, you'll read it, but yeah, on the weekend I was able to go and buy a dryer for the Infinity Wellness Centre, and I was not sweating when I was doing that because I had enough money in the bank, and it was like I'd won friggin' Tats Lotto.
So let me read the post, yeah?
Sure.
Okay, so let me just bring it up. Okay. For those watching on YouTube, I'll show you the picture. So there's the picture there. You can see the dryer, and it's got a beautiful bronze fridge next to it. So there you see it. Okay, and it says, and by the way, I've read this now. I read it to my staff this morning when I got to my head office this morning, and I read it to my wife this morning, and I even read it to my car's getting fixed at the moment. And so I got Uber this morning, right? And I read it to my Uber driver this morning, and she was crying in the car when
Oh, no way! Oh my God!
So I just love it. I just absolutely love it. And you know what I love about it is that only a business owner will understand it. Only a business owner will understand it. People who think they have high pressure jobs, or that they have, you know, they work a lot of hours, or that they sacrifice a lot. I don't doubt that like, perspectives obviously unique, and they all have their own challenges in life. But I think when you're a business owner and you put everything on the line, everything, and there's no fallback, and everybody else is getting paid around you, and everyone's going away on holidays, and everyone's like, it's Christmas time, and everyone's down for 4 weeks, and everyone's enjoying life, and yours like, I can't even afford to pay a bill, and it really hurts. And until you go through that, you can't quite understand it. And so when I read your post, I think it touched me, because I was like, wow, this is incredible. So here we go. So it says, this pic below is one of success. To you, it looks like a washer dryer combo and a fridge. To me, it's a testament that I'm not going to go bankrupt. It's the first time I felt this way in 13 months. Last Saturday, I beamed as I walked into the local Scratch and Dent to buy the wellness centre a new dryer. I was grinning like a Cheshire cat that I, person who was eating baked beans, can now actually afford one. I also knew we needed a new fridge when I walked in, but after worrying about where my next dollar was coming from, I was apprehensive. Until I remembered there was money in the bank. So I bought the freaking fridge as well, fist pump. Just 3 months before, the thought of having to buy a dry would have made me feel sick. I remember telling my business coach that I was living a baked beans lifestyle, which, just to break a second, was because you had told me that, right? You were eating baked beans for dinner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A baked beans lifestyle. And I was worried about the fact that every dollar I had was in the business. Today, I eat baked beans and sausages, as he proclaimed the other day, celebrating some of my success. That was funny. The appliances not only represent the fact that I'm not going bankrupt, they also represent expansion. The little day spa that could is now turning over so many towels that we couldn't keep up, so we needed another dryer. The bronze beauty of a fridge you see there is a sign that we have more lunches to fit in, more staff, more practitioners, more services rolling out. I was so effing grateful in that scratch and dent store I could die. I know there are heaps of businesses that don't make it, and as I drove out the scratch and dent last Saturday with my bronze beauty, I was fist pumping. I had made it. So come get your day spa, everyone. We now have towels. Your sausage eater, like Chrissy. I just think that's like the most perfectly worded and like articulated post. I just think it's it really touches me, and I think it touched me because I understand it and have been through it. And I think when all the people who listen to this podcast and watch this video, they too will understand that. And I just think you're incredible. I really think you're incredible.
Oh, thanks, Billy. Yeah, it's so funny when you write posts, because I do one every Friday. You just never know which one's going to connect with people. Like I write it every Thursday night after private practice. I write my blogs.
Yeah.
And I was so kind of flippant about that post last night. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's another one. Yep. And it just exploded this morning, and it just goes to show you never know yourself which blog post.
Creating content, right?
You never know. You never know what's going to resonate with people. You really don't. And other blogs, I've thought, oh my God, I'm going to nail this tomorrow. You just get a little poke here and there, and you're like, where's the rest of my comments?
Yeah. Like I've done videos before. I was like, that's such a good message.
Oh.
And then it's like, and you look at you go, one like, oh, it's my sister.
Oh. You never know. That's another message.
Yeah, exactly. But in saying that, you also never know who is listening and who doesn't react. And so sometimes you create messages and people that silent, the lurkers who just watch and watch and watch. And
absolutely.
They're all in there absorbing it, and then all of a sudden you get this message out of the blue, go, I just want to say thank you. I just absolutely love you. And you're like, who is this person? They're like,
yeah.
I've been following you for months. You do such a great job, blah, blah. You're like, I just didn't even know you followed me. So don't get beat down also if you don't get a response. But if they do want to read that post, it's on Instagram. You're at Infinity Wellness Center.
Yep. Oh, I think it's just Infinity Wellness. Yeah, it is. Yep, Infinity Wellness Center. Follow us, guys.
Know your tag. Know your handle. So just lastly, I want to talk about one of the strategies that you and I spoke about when you first came on board with coaching, and that was because you had 3 different arms. You decided to take a gamble and close down the day spa for a period of time, right?
Yeah.
And you focused on building the yoga part of your business. And you did such an amazing job at that. You filled your yoga that 1 week. I remember that video you made where you just like, I can't even get into my own yoga studio. Can you talk to us a little bit about that process? Because I think a lot of people have a reluctance sometimes about, like in business, I've learned this from my own experience, and sometimes you just have to take a backward step in order to take 3 steps forward. And people are reluctant to do it because sometimes they see that as a failure, or it's like, oh, I just wasn't good enough to make that work. But sometimes it's just a necessity. It's like, if you're going down the wrong path, you've got to come back to that fork in the road and then take the other path. And so could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, one of the things you said to me, actually, first thing you said to me, I hope you're sitting down, because what I'm about to tell you, when you said, I think you need to shut down the day spa. At the end of the day, I was doing 3 things, not to my full potential: the yoga, the day spa, the allied health. It was too much, and with, I suppose, the day spa shutting down, it wasn't that I didn't have the ability to think about my business in different ways. It was just that I didn't have the focus and the attention that I needed on the different sort of arms of the business at one time. So the minute I was able to shut that day spa down, and I was very anxious about doing that, and, you know, in my mind I said, well, what I'm doing right now isn't working. There's got to be an alternative. I have to take the risk. And when I did that and allowed myself to really focus on, you know, just the yoga, I suppose the entrepreneurial juices and flow just came to me, as far as, you know, you said, go and get a business model for yoga, think about it differently. I went and researched membership style. I went and met with yoga business owners. I looked at timetable structures. I looked at membership programs, you know, but again, if I didn't really step back and focus on that in the way that I did, there's no way I would have been able to come up with all of those different, or even consider those different ways of doing things, you know. And then I suppose the important part, I think, about trying to blow up a business, I suppose, in a positive sense, is about lead magnets. So the fact that I'd written an ebook, I was getting people into my wellness centre for free because I knew that I had the goods. So I knew the minute that people would be stepping inside my wellness centre and engaging in the services, I knew they would love it, and I 100% believed in the brand. And that's basically how it exploded. That's how the day spas exploded, because again, I got a lead magnet where I'm basically, you know, getting people in here for next to nothing, but I've got 100% faith in the therapists that I've got now, and as a result, we're retaining clients. So I think you've got to have the service, you've got to have the ability to stand by it in a confident manner, know that you can do it, and the people will stick around and they'll stay.
Yeah. And sometimes it just comes down to that, isn't it? When you stretch so thin, you just don't have the time to invest. You just don't have the time to do the necessary research in how to grow a particular area of your business, because you're stretched so thin. And so you just did such a good job at it. And I'm going to finish on this. I remember one time we were, it was only like in month 1 or something, and you're like, Billy, I really need to talk to you. I'm freaking out about this day spa thing and blah, blah, blah. And I think it was the baked beans conversation, actually, because I was driving. Do you remember I had my son Jack in the back? And
yes.
In the car, and he was probably making some inappropriate comment and trying to interrupt everything. But we were talking in the car, and you were like, I'm just so bloody frustrated, Billy, because I'm sick of listening to podcasts where all they want to do is tell you about their shining star and about how this person went from rags to riches and did so well and blah, blah, blah. And I said, your time is coming. Your time is coming. You're doing all the right things. You've just launched your ebook. You've closed down your day spa. Like you're building up the yoga. You're doing all the right things. Your time is coming. And you would say, when is it my time? I'm sick of eating baked beans. And I remember that conversation, and so I guess that's why it warms me so much that you definitely haven't made it yet, but by your own standards. I don't say that you haven't made that. That would be your own stand.
Yeah.
You haven't made it yet, but you know what? Like, you are just killing it at the moment, and I'm just loving following you, and I just think you're doing everything so well. And so that's why it's so good having you on the podcast today, because you get to share your story, and you wanted to be one of those people. You are one of those people, and you've still got so much more to go, but I think you're just wonderful. I think you've done such a good job.
Oh, thanks so much. I never even thought of it like that. I'm one of those people that I really didn't like. Oh my gosh.
Now you're going to, from a psychology point of view, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and go, why do I hate myself? We're going to wrap it up now, because I honestly could talk to you forever, and I know we've both got things to do today.
Sure.
Thanks so much for coming onto the podcast. And before I forget, you have your own podcast starting.
Yes, it is coming. Well AF, guys. I'm just getting ready for the launch as we speak, and it is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Lovely. And if they want to follow you, how do they follow you?
Well, I would probably go to the socials first. So Infinity Wellness Centre on Instagram, and also Infinity Wellness on Facebook, because all of my links and things like that will be posted on those pages. Great.
You've just launched a Warrior Wellness program.
Membership. Yep.
So you'll see some information on that, and your podcast should be launched soon. And so hopefully when you do your podcast, maybe we can reciprocate and you can have me on and we can continue the chat there.
I will. I'll have the B Rickers segment.
Everyone, what you call me? No.
B Rickers segment.
And you and I are in Bali next week together.
I know, isn't that scary?
For our COVID. It is totally scary when I look at the list of people who are coming from
Oh
totally
my
scary.
gosh. It's gonna be so awesome. I can't wait.
Do you know there's like I won't name the names, but there's 2 people who are coming who have never traveled before, right? And even one of the people who work at my head office, she's only ever been out of Australia once as well. So it's like I love that sort of stuff. I don't know why, but I love sharing people's first experiences with them. We're like with their eyes just open and go, wow, look at this, and it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
And I'm traveling with one, and she was freaking out the other day, and I said, dude, you're with like the best psychologist in the nation. Like, you can't do any better than that.
But I would normally say if all else fails, just get them drunk. But this particular person, I may not recommend you.
No.
Hilarious. All right, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much. Guys, if you've loved this episode today, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Search YouTube for Billy Rickman and hit that subscribe button. There'll be tons more content like this coming up. And if you're listening on iTunes or on Android, you can subscribe to my podcast there. It's the Billy Rickman Show Success Sessions podcast. And whatever you're listening on, flip it over. And if you are on my podcast, then jump on YouTube and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, go and listen to my podcast and hit subscribe there too. So that's it today, guys. Have an awesome day. If you're Friday, you're listening to this, have an amazing weekend. And I'll be sending for you again, hopefully tomorrow, for episode number 53. Thanks, Christine. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.